Alibaba BABA stock. Is Alibaba stock a good buy? This is an interesting stock. On the one hand, the valuations, this is a strong buy because it's so inexpensive relative to what they earn. On the other hand, there's perceived risk in all the things going on with China, the potential of a Chinese slowdown, potential of restrictions by the Chinese government. It makes it a really interesting question. In the meantime, free cash flow is so liquid for BABA stock that should the company relieve itself from the stock market, it would take all of 4 years with their free cash flow to pay for the company after removing outside investments, selling them off. Given that, when you take a look at these valuations, it's an interesting question of whether or not BABA stock is a good buy. Let's jump in. Before we jump in, I'm D.H. Taylor. This is a new channel for me. Thanks so much for hitting that like and follow button. The channel is growing quickly. I had another channel. I'm breaking this one out. This is where I do value investments, looking at companies like Alibaba stock, as well as economic analysis and breaking down the stock market. If that's what you're looking for, like and follow button down below. Here is BABA stock, BABA stock. This is the 4-hour bar chart. You can see we just got the numbers over the past couple days, and since then it has been a complete collapse. Let's move forward and take a look at what's going on with the numbers. Of course, quarterly revenue came in a little more than 31 billion for the quarter. Slightly soft, but we're probably going to see some quarterly variations with December. Right now, the shopping season, we'll probably see these move back upward. In the meantime, projected revenue 2024, 2023, they finish up kind of on the soft side. 2024 will match 2022's numbers, but then 2025, you're seeing the potential of some pretty decent growth that Alibaba management expects that the stock will continue, or the company will continue to grow revenue. Nonetheless, valuations today is what I really want to take a look at. Q3 margins, when we're looking at gross margins, 36.8%, which is pretty decent. 15% on operating margins. Net margins, 12.3%. The S&P 500 produces about 8.25%. So Alibaba net margins outperforms the broader stock market, yet underperforms stock. And again, there's some perceived risks that are kind of shaky. Earnings per share, $1.48 for the quarter. 2023, 2024, and 2025 projections for the next 2 years, $9.05, $9.83 for projected earnings for Alibaba BABA stock. Price to earnings ratio. You're hard pressed to find a company like Alibaba stock where the earnings are increasing. Revenue, generally speaking, on an annual basis is increasing, and we'll see that over the next 2 years, 24 and 25. You're hard-pressed to find a price-to-earnings ratio like this. The broader market is trading at about 30, to put that into perspective. But when you look at the stock, BABA stock, right now it's trading below its IPO price from, 2015? Late 2014, early 2015, that period of time. Generally speaking, people are getting out. Let's look at yield. Price for BABA stock, $74. The future projections for 2024, $9. Yield on that, take that $9 divided over top the 74, 12.23%. Your alternate investment, the benchmark, the 10-year treasury, 4.28%. That's about 200% better return. At this point, you have to ask the question, is this a stock investment or a value investment? And if it's a stock investment, will it turn around? What's going to be the catalyst where all of a sudden fears of a Chinese recession that could really affect revenues for Alibaba, or the government itself not restricting Alibaba and its ownership, which if you bought BABA stock, you don't even get BABA stock, you get something out of the Bahamas. It's an interest in BABA stock. So there's some perception as to what's going on. But let me drop two names for you. Not a big name dropper. Michael Burry. He's one of them. And of course, the very recently late Charlie Munger. Both in on BABA stock. Looking at the valuations and saying, this is crazy. Is it worth the risk? Will the Chinese government back off a little bit? If they did, you'd probably see a pretty decent rally in BABA stock. If they didn't, if they restricted more, you would probably see a significant drop in price for BABA stock. The recession in China would be temporary, wouldn't it? Because a lot of demand from Chinese businesses comes from the United States. On that note, of course, the United States is seeing the beginning of a slight contraction. Don't know how big it's going to get. So if you looked at this as a stock trade, you're really looking at this as kind of a risky investment, but there's upside. At the same time, if you looked at this as a value investment and you just took the risk and swept it under the carpet and said, don't care, look at the value, there would be upside. Someone could effectively step in and buy this company. But Chinese restrictions would not allow it to be, say, an American company. So it's really an interesting sort of take on a value investment. Yeah, there's tons of value in there, given the current price of BABA. Should we see that recession in China? It would be temporary. Really, it boils down to two things. Number one, you don't actually own the stock, but there's a workaround for that. Number two, would the Chinese government restrict Alibaba further, hindering profits? If they did, likely it would be small in comparison to the total value. If you took the investments, if you looked at the valuation of Alibaba, BABA stock, they have some investments. Fine. Dump the investments for its valuation. Free cash flow for BABA would pay for the remainder of the company in 4 years. Valuations are so rich. Would I buy this stock? Probably not. I like it. I like the value. I just don't like the risk. Nonetheless, I wanted to keep updating on this. I've looked at Alibaba once before. I think it's a really interesting opportunity for someone who likes risk. There would be reward if the risk was removed. This stock was much higher not too long ago. So it's all a matter of, will the perceived risk go away? Alibaba itself, the revenues look like they're growing. Profits will grow. Given everything right now, there could be a recession in China which would affect revenues, but any recession in the United States or contraction of the economy would eventually turn around. For me, I'm not getting in on BABA stock, but I sure do like following it because I think it's an interesting investment. Michael Burry's in. Charlie Munger, the late Charlie Munger, he was in. Make sure you hit that like and follow button. We'll see you in the next video.